Tom Stockmeyer is Managing Director for Government and Critical Infrastructure at Cyware. Thanks for joining me again. Last time we were together, you talked about a term, collective defense. What's the definition of that term, and how does it fit in the realm of what agencies are doing?
It's real, France. First of all, thank you. It's good to be here today. It's real important for our national security and our defensive posture. I'm pretty excited because yesterday, CISA announced a path forward with a program that they've invested about 4.5 years developing called the CISA Threat Intel Exchange Services, also known as TIES program. So I think that's going to be very important to our nation, federal civilian agencies, state and local government, and all of critical infrastructure. And the challenge that we have is everybody's trying to defend themselves. But there's not a company or business or government entity that can really defend themselves by themselves from a nation state attack. If China as a country wants to attack a private sector company, they're going to be successful. And so there's this thought that if you can band together all federal civilian agencies, right, that have different levels of sophistication. Some have many more resources than others. They're all good and all trying their best, but if you can band them together to share threats and what's going on, then if something happens to one and they can let everybody else know really fast what happened, then you can keep that attacker from moving left and right and working their way throughout the government ecosystem. Yeah. We work very closely with an organization that has critical infrastructure, that has 5,000 companies globally that share threat intelligence 24/7. And it used to take them about 6 hours on average. If something bad, if a threat actor started attacking one, for that one to say, here's the bad thing that's going on. Here's the tactics and techniques that are being used, and here's the action you need to take. And to share that out to the other 4,999 institutions, right? They'll tell you that now they've got it down to that same process takes on average of 1 minute. Now think about that. CISA today doesn't have that that doesn't exist in federal government today. This project is that important that CISA will be able to deploy that type of collective defensive network to federal civilian agencies. And hopefully they'll be able to get it down, which today everybody would argue because of the process CISA has to go through to let actionable intelligence out. It does take a little bit longer, right, because of where they get their data from. But if CISA can get that down to a minute, 4 minutes, think of the positive impact that will have on those agencies being able to better protect themselves or their critical infrastructure and continue to provide uninterrupted critical services to their constituents.
What are the key technologies that are maybe not prominent top of mind yet, but that are emerging that will underpin that kind of information sharing and threat response mitigation?
I think the technologies are there. You see it in the private sector a lot, especially amongst the ISAC community. They have all turned the corner and do a very good job of collective defense. And I think there's some new things coming out in that area that allow for, think of it in stages. There's collective defense, and then there's automated collective defense. And then there could be a day, 4 or 5 years out, we're using AI to help power that. I don't think that's there today, but think about how that could, we hear about the Golden Dome, and that's kind of like a metaphor, right? Like in cyber world, it's not a big shiny golden dome, but this is sort of like the same concept, collective defense, right?
Interesting. Tom, thanks very much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time.
Francis, thank you. It's always good to be here.